Welcome back. The United Kingdom says it remains committed to investment flows to Nigeria as Africa's largest economy floats new products, including green bonds, to broaden its capital market. The UK Deputy High Commissioner, Ms. Laura Bufis, sees a growing convergence between both markets.
The UK government has a shared interest with the LSE to support the power of the City of London to channel more investment into Nigeria. But beyond this, I think that having a day dedicated to talking about investments and capital markets is absolutely right. Like most people around the room, I share the belief that financial innovation and deepening capital markets are essential to inclusive growth. It is well acknowledged that to deliver sustainable growth with per capita gains in Nigeria, we will need to aggressively boost domestic and foreign investments over the next decade. Nigeria's investment share of GDP is relatively low, behind the average of 23% in sub-Saharan Africa. Some have estimated that Nigeria's economic transformation will require an extra $50 billion of investment capital flowing in a year. But I'm not here to tell you what you already know. What I should tell you, however, is that the UK is fully committed to using all of the tools at our disposal to further trade, investment and finance, and to support development and inclusive growth in Nigeria. The UK has long and enduring business links with Nigeria. As you have just heard, existing trade is just under £4 billion a year and is estimated to go up to £7 billion a year by 2030. And working very closely with the Department for International Trade over the last year or so, we've really focused on supporting the government's drive to diversify the economy. And so our Department for International Trade team is now much more focused on sectors outside oil and gas, working in particular on agriculture, on financial services, of course, but also on education services and fintech in particular. We've also got our UKEF, which is the British Export Credit Agency, with a very good finance offer that you may know about, which we think is incredibly competitive, requiring only 20% UK content for the finance that we provide. And some of you may have also heard about the recent announcement made by UKEF to provide guarantees in Naira for some of the loans that that are being used to buy UK products. This is very exciting, and we can discuss that further if that's of more interest today. But the UK is also, as you know, the largest source of capital inflows to Nigeria, and the London Stock Exchange plays an important role in those investment flows. 1/5 of the companies listed in the FTSE 100 have a presence in Nigeria. Last year, the LSE hosted both a $1 billion Nigerian Eurobond, as you've heard, and indeed Nigeria's first ever diaspora bond, which raised $300 million. But still, we want to see more British companies working and investing in Nigeria, and we want to do more to support Nigeria integrate into global financial markets, attracting greater investment and direct finance into productive and underserved parts of the economy. The UK's Development Finance Institution, CDC, plays a key role here. As you know, last year alone, CDC invested in businesses in developing countries that created more than 1 million jobs. In Nigeria, CDC holds investments in power, fertilizer provision, private equity investments, all that support smaller companies such as agro-processors in remote areas. To further support growth and generate higher levels of investment in Nigeria, CDC will be opening up a new office in Lagos this year. And indeed, it will be celebrating its 70th birthday in Lagos a bit later in November. This year in Lagos as well. The UK is also investing through the Private Infrastructure Development Group, which last year mobilized $800 million of private finance into Nigeria alone. PIDGE partnered with the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Authority to create InfraCredit Nigeria, which offers AAA guarantees to encourage Nigeria's pension funds to provide long-term local currency finance to Nigerian infrastructure projects. Many of you will have seen that with InfraCredit's guarantee, the Viathan Group was able to issue the first ever 10-year infrastructure corporate bond in January this year. There are just a few examples of how the UK is directly supporting the deepening of capital markets in Nigeria. But these examples are not all. Some of you in this room will know that Charles Bowman, the Lord Mayor of the City of London, in fact, the 690th Lord Mayor of the City of London, will be coming to Nigeria next month. He is the spokesperson and principal ambassador for the UK's financial and professional services sector. He will spend a day in Abuja and 2 days in Lagos, and I hope he will get to meet as many of you as possible. He, like UK ministers, is committed to working with the City of London to help it become the finance hub for Africa and bringing the best of the UK financial services industries to bear here in Nigeria. The City of London channels investment into companies large and small, supports governments in harnessing international investment for infrastructure and green growth, and provides technology to exchanges across Africa. The London financial community has so much to offer to deliver financing to the hundreds of ambitious entrepreneur-led companies taking roots across Africa, especially in Nigeria. Yet the UK has a lot more to offer than just capital. The City of London has a wealth of expertise to share with Nigeria. To use the example of infrastructure finance, for example, the full range of the city's services, from financing to consultancies to insurances to legal services, can and should be considered alongside our finance offer. More investment into Nigeria, facilitated by London's capital markets, mean more jobs, more tax revenues, and more inclusive growth. This is a central pillar of the UK's government's partnership with Nigeria. And I should say that I've been in the civil service working for the UK government for about 15 years now. And this is the first time that I see the convergence of two phenomenons. One, a renewed focus on Africa across the British government and across the three internationally minded departments, namely the Foreign Office, the Department for International Trade, and the Department for International Development. And three, a real convergence in understanding how we want to work with our partner countries in Africa in terms of developing long-term strategies for inclusive growth and investing in creating markets for the future, not just for short-term exports. So you will be seeing a lot more of that.
UK Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ms. Laura Fist. And that's where we end today's show. Thank you for watching. I am Bisi Adebayo. See you next time.